Hey guys, it's Cayley. I am back with another What Sold from last week video. I'm right under this fan, so I hope you guys don't hear that, but it is hot, so I need it. In today's video, as we do every single week, we are diving into the sales that are happening right now on eBay and Poshmark. I've definitely seen a huge shift into fall and winter pieces. I know I've mentioned that before, but I feel like I'm definitely over that hump where a majority of items now are fall and winter items. So if you guys haven't switched your sourcing over, you definitely want to start doing that. We will also be going over some specific sales, both fall and winter, in today's video. So let's dive right in and do that. Let's get into it here. All of these sales happen between July 28th through August 3rd. And I think we're caught up finally on the What Sold video. So pretty good week. In total, I sold 274 items for gross item sales, meaning I didn't include what I received for shipping on eBay in this. $8,380.62. My average sale price was still pretty low in total, just because of similar sales on Posh, at about $31. On eBay, I sold 165 items. On Poshmark, I sold 109. We just got caught back up on cross-posting onto Posh, so I think that probably we're going to see a pretty equal split between Poshmark and eBay. But as always, eBay has a much higher average sale price. My average sale price on eBay was around $37. And on Poshmark, it was around $20. So big difference, right? Very big difference. But I am, again, using Poshmark and their closet clear out feature to reduce prices of anything at 90 days or older. And that's where a lot of those items are selling. Let's dive into some of these full price sales. I've got a whole lot of stuff to show you in this video, a lot of newer brands. So I think you have some exciting stuff. All right, the first one is maybe not a new brand to you, but I like bringing it up every now and then because as resellers, we don't come across it very often, but when you do, you want to know exactly what it is you're looking at. So this is Magnolia Pearl. And if you're not familiar with them, I would definitely go check out their website and see what kind of style, what kind of vibe, what kind of pieces they put out, because they look a lot like this. I mean, this is a plain looking, you'd probably find it in the nightgown section. So if you didn't know that a company that retails for hundreds of dollars puts out stuff like this and that you can flip it for that much, then you're not going to know to pick them up when you come across them or to even look in some of these sections. So I would definitely say if you were to find this at a thrift store, you would probably find it in the nightgown section. So this is one I paid up for through wholesale. I paid $40 for this one. I originally listed it closer to $300. It has been sitting since November, which is to be expected with a higher end piece. I ended up dropping the price slightly, and it ended up selling for a drop price of $255. So that is $40 into $255. Definitely keep your eye out for Magnolia Pearl. And sometimes they don't even have the tag. Sometimes you just see a small spell out somewhere, like this one right here. All right, next up, another higher price sale and one that I paid up for. This is Hackett London. There is not a 100% sell-through rate on this brand. However, some of their pieces are selling for quite a bit. So definitely keep your eye out for Hackett London. This is a men's linen blazer, which is why we felt super confident picking it up in the middle of summer. This one did have a couple of marks on it. We listed it for $130. I paid $20. It sold for our full asking price of $130. These are terrible photos. Anybody else have this issue? It doesn't happen to us often, but every now and then it'll just look super hazy when it is a black item. And my photographer apparently didn't notice these when we uploaded them, but it's still sold, so can't complain. This is Reformation. This is absolutely a brand you guys want to keep your eye out for. I pick up Reformation almost anything, but specifically their dresses perform really well. This is called the Lorelei mini dress. I listed this for $125 and it did sell for our full asking price. Next up, this is an item that had sat for a little while, but again, with these higher priced items, you expect that they're probably going to sit longer than 3 months, probably. So I'm okay with waiting for things that are going to net me a lot more money. This is Jenny Kane. This is definitely a brand you want to be on the lookout for. Kind of hard to see the lettering. It's typically black lettering on a black background, so definitely keep your eye out for it. This was a cashmere cardigan, and this did have several small holes throughout. It ended up sitting since January, so we dropped the price to around $145. This actually ended up selling in a ginormous, really amazing bundle on eBay from one of my repeat buyers. And everything that they got in total was about a $360 order. Plus, I think they made like another order. I think they spent like around $400 to $500 with me in one day, which is amazing. They got some really great pieces. But this was included in that bundle. I would imagine with their bundle discount, this ended up individually probably selling closer to like $115, $125. But really great sale, and also a really awesome bundle. I don't get huge bundles like that on eBay, hardly ever, so it was really nice to see. Next up, this is a category we've been dabbling in a lot. It is cycling gear, and it has been performing extremely well. So I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If you're coming across anything cycling, especially in the men's department, you definitely want to look it up. A lot of these brands are really good. So this is the brand Velocio. I actually just noticed that this was the Grateful Dead skull, and apparently the lister did not notice that because we just put skull patch. So that might be why somebody bought this. But this is Velocio, a brand you might want to look out for. With the cycling stuff, all of my buyers have asked for a picture of the inside of the seat pad, which is what this picture is. So if you do have something like this, make sure to check that before buying. Make sure it's in good condition. So a pair of cycling bibs, shorts. Here's the logo for Velocio. And we listed this for $100. It did have some fading, and it still sold for our full asking price of $100, and we paid $20 for it. This one actually sold within 3 days of getting listed, so definitely a brand to keep your eye out for. Next up, this is a brand I hardly ever get. It used to be a huge bolo brand. It is Stussy. And the only reason we got this one is because it had a very rare graphic print on it. So if you see something in a brand that used to be like super good, it's not anymore, but it is kind of unique, I would probably do a Google lens on it. This was the case with this. So it was a rare graphic flower sweatshirt by that brand. We paid $20. We listed for $80. And it did sell for our full asking price, and this one actually only took a few days to sell. Next up, this is Ralph Lauren. This is Ralph Lauren Black Label. So again, having the education to know exactly what you are looking for. This is what we talk about in the Resellers Edge group. We teach you how to fish, basically, give you all the tools you need. So if you don't know all of this stuff and you want to just have an enormous amount of information at your fingertips, consider joining Resellers Edge. It'll be in the description. But this is the kind of stuff we talk about. We get down into the nitty gritty. So this is Ralph Lauren Black Label. This particular label of Ralph Lauren significantly increases value. Unfortunately, this item did have several flaws, but we still picked it up because it was Black Label Ralph Lauren. It is a silk midi skirt. It had several stains and small holes. I think we originally listed this for $100, and we ended up selling it on a drop price of around $77. So keep your eye out for this. Definitely a particular label in Ralph Lauren you want to look for. They have all kinds of different labels: blue labels, black labels, purple labels. The black and the purple labels are the most valuable ones. All right, next up, this was an amazing find. This is just J. Crew, but it is a men's cardigan, and men's cardigans are definitely a bolo. pretty much in every brand, it's going to significantly increase value for you. And this is obviously, a mall brand, J. Crew. So definitely keep your eye out for men's cardigans. Make sure to do your comps with the brand, but generally speaking, men's cardigans are a bolo. I have mentioned this in several videos, but I'm selling these, for a lot of money. So this was very sought after. It sold shortly after getting it listed. I'll tell you exactly how long in just a moment, but I did just want to point this out. This sold so quickly. Let's see here. This sold within a week. So within a week, 10 people were watching this. I know 10 doesn't sound like a lot, but within a week, that is a lot of watchers on eBay. So keep your eye out for stuff like this. This was a wool cardigan. Now, normally with J. Crew men's cardigans, I probably wouldn't have priced this high. I think when I looked up comps, just generally speaking, they were only going for like 40, 50 pre-owned. However, I noticed that I had a very unique color, and so that led me to kind of investigate a little bit more and decide to price it very high because of that. So if you have something unique or a unique color that nobody else has, I would definitely consider pricing higher. We talked about this on a pricing strategies call on Reseller's Edge last Monday, just kind of what to do with these unique items. So this one, I jacked up the price. I listed for $80. I probably could have honestly listed it higher, but I felt very confident within the $80 range. And I'm glad I priced it for that because it sold, like I said, within a week, lightning fast, for the full asking price of $80. Next up, this was another awesome find. Oh, we were just talking about this. So the skirt was Black Label. This is Purple Label. This is a Ralph Lauren Purple Label tie. You gotta know your labels or else you are going to be leaving money on the table. So this is a men's 100% silk Purple Label tie. I was lucky enough to get a ton of these in wholesale and they are all starting to sell, which is very exciting. So definitely a highly sought after item. This I listed for $80. It sold on an offer to Watcher for $68. And I think we've since sold some other of these ties. We got several of them. They've all been selling. I think I only have a couple left. Next up, this is a category you're going to want to start looking for: leather boots. Fry is an excellent brand to look for in leather boots. They have become slightly oversaturated. If you find Fry and Company, that is their diffusion line. If you find just Fry, like this one is, that is their better line. And then especially anything that is more substantial. So this is like a knee leather boot. Their little mini boots don't always do well. So again, that's why you want to look up the style and the size, but definitely a more substantial piece is totally worth getting. I paid $20 for these. We listed for $75. A buyer messaged me and asked if I would do $60. I felt that was close enough to my asking price. So I sent them an offer for $60 and I flipped $20 into $60 very quickly. So this one sold within about 3 weeks of getting listed. And remember guys, we are in the dead of summer right now. It is 100 degrees where I am living consistently over the last couple of weeks and people are buying leather boots. So the time is now. Next up, this is a newer handbag brand to me. I think it might even be vintage. I'm not sure. We did not put that in the title, so I can't say. But it is the Bridge. High quality leather. You can see where that logo is placed right in the middle. So you would definitely pass on that if you were not paying attention. So this is a high quality leather bag. This actually looks modern. Not vintage, but the label itself looks kind of vintage. So keep your eye out for this handbag. I got this from wholesale for $10. It did have a couple of flaws. We listed it for $70. It sold for full asking price. This one took about a month and a week to sell. So definitely a brand in the future I'm going to keep my eye out for. And leather goods in general, similar to the leather boots I just showed you, leather handbags are going to be very trendy for fall and winter. This is a Harley sale, women's Harley. Pretty much Harley outerwear is mostly all I look for right now. Some of the men's stuff I'll dabble in, but generally speaking for women's, it's jackets or it's nothing. This is a women's denim jacket with a flag graphic on the back. I listed this for $70. It did sell for full asking price. However, it did take several months to sell. Next up, this was a pretty awesome sale. This is Lilly Pulitzer. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is we obviously know that Lilly Pulitzer can be good, but this is a vintage label. If you're not familiar with their vintage label, definitely want to become familiar with it because generally speaking, it sells for a lot more than even their modern stuff. So I always get very excited whenever I see a vintage Lilly Pulitzer. And usually you can tell based on the pattern as well. It's almost like slightly more diffused. It has a little bit of a different style than the modern stuff, but you can still tell that it is Lilly Pulitzer. This one was actually missing a button on the sleeve, and we still listed it for $75, probably because of all the patchwork details. And this ended up selling on an offer to watcher for $64. This did take several months to sell, but again, a vintage higher price item, you're probably looking at waiting a couple of months, but Lilly Pulitzer, she never does me wrong. Next up, this is a brand I have been dabbling in. It is Boston Proper. You guys have probably seen me pop it up in a couple of videos. I am being very particular with what I get. This one I got because it was full velvet. We got this one from wholesale as well. We paid $10, listed for $60. It did sell for a full asking price. This is a vintage Boston Proper. Velvet is definitely going to be a fabric you're going to want to start looking for. Obviously not everything velvet, but with the trending aesthetics right now, a lot of stuff in those aesthetics contain velvet already. So now moving into fall and winter when velvet is, it sells at its best, the combination of both the trending aesthetics and velvet, I think are going to be, it's just going to explode sales. So keep your eye out for velvet. This one sold for a full asking price of $60, 10 into $60. And this one took about a month and a week to sell. Next up, this is just a novelty kind of item. I talked about this before, but novelty print stuff, novelty items, very trendy during the holidays. Everybody is looking for something unique and rare. Everybody wants to stand out. So particularly during the holidays, this is a good time to test out novelty stuff. This is a really cool Halloween sweater vest. There is a very small window between now and Halloween to get the stuff listed. So if you have anything in your death pile, Halloween related or, goth or witchy inspired, definitely start getting those things listed because your window is going to close before you know it. This is your reminder. So this is just by the brand Victoria Jones, not a brand I would, memorize. Just again, the novelty print, really cool sweater vest. Listed this for $40. It sold for a full asking price. And this took a couple of months to sell, but Halloween is already selling. All right, next up, this is kind of a niche category that does well for me. This is frame, which frame items retail for a ton. But I've noticed that women's frame tops perform, generally speaking, pretty well. Usually $35 to $45 I can get for them. This one was a sweater, so that is the main reason we priced it up closer to $50. And it was also a size large. So if you come across frame tops, they're in great condition, especially if they're a size large. Definitely worth getting in my opinion. We listed this for $50. It sold for a full asking price. However, it did take a couple of months to sell. Next up, I found this at the bins. This was an excellent pickup. This is LL Bean. LL Bean is one of my top selling brands every single year, probably because where I live, outdoorsy brands are just abundant. It is what people wear. It's what people buy. The Gorpcore aesthetic has never left Ohio. But LL Bean is definitely one of my top selling brands. It has a really great following. So keep your eye out for some LL Bean, more substantial pieces for fall and winter, especially in the men's department. I was lucky enough to find this at the bins, new with tags. So this retailed for $99. I listed this piece, it was called the rag wool sweater, for $50. And it did sell fairly quickly. It took a couple of months to sell, but I listed it in the dead of summer. And it sold on an offer to watcher for $42. Next up, this is a Free People item. I like showing the Free People items because I know a lot of people have veered away from Free People, but it is still a very trendy brand, especially on Whatnot. People love Free People over there, and that was a little bit of a tongue twister. So when it comes to eBay and Poshmark, I try to stick to like the more substantial pieces. You can, be sure if you do a Google Lens or look up the style number. I know it seems like a lot of work. However, you're able to get for the more substantial pieces sometimes close to $100. So I do think it's worth it to do the comp and to look up the style number if you've got a more substantial piece. So this is their line Free People 1. It is a women's size large. I've said it before, I'll keep saying it, but Free People, an Anthropology size large and higher, same thing with Sundance, drastically different sell-through rate, drastically different comps if you've got a size large or higher. So if you do nothing else, if you find Free People and it's size large or up, consider getting it. This is a waffle knit hoodie. I listed this for $45. It sold for our full asking price. And this one actually only took about a week to sell. Next up, this is a newer shoe brand to me. It is called Zoot Mackay, I think is how you pronounce it. So it says Zoot along the shoe, and then it says Mackay right here. These were a pair of running sneakers, men's. I listed for $50. They did have some flaws to them. Otherwise, we might have listed them higher. They did sell for our full asking price, and they only took about a month to sell. So newer brand to me. I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for this brand in the future. All right, this is a brand we have been dabbling with recently. Not 100% sell-through rate, but I have noticed if you stick to the larger sizes in this brand, it does have a pretty decent sell-through rate and can sell for quite a bit. It is Tianello. They make really artsy pieces. This one's a beautiful kind of like dark floral, whimsical button-up. I listed this for $50. It did sell for our full asking price, and this actually only took 4 days to sell. So keep your eye out for Tianello, again, specifically in the larger sizes. Next up, this is one that has sat for me, but it is a more style-based pickup. It is Patricia Wolf. This is a vintage broomstick crinkle skirt, and the reason I wanted to show you this is that this is a very trendy print right now. These like browns and greens, kind of forestry, fairy inspired colors, especially moving into fall. These darker skirts are going to do really well, but also to show you the keyword broomstick. So look up broomstick skirt when you get the chance. That's a great keyword to know. I originally listed this, I think, close to $60, and I've since dropped the price. It ended up selling on the drop price for $40, which is still a great return on investment. However, this has been sitting for almost a year, so I wish we would have priced it lower, but still a trendy item. You can see I had quite a few followers on this as well, and I think just with the aesthetics and fall coming, everything aligning, this ended up selling. All right, this is something I wanted to show you because it is a line from Birkenstock, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. It is Betula. So if you guys see this, this is a Birkenstock brand. So I always include Birkenstock in my title. So these are a pair of thong sandals. I paid $8 for these. I got them back, I think, I don't know. Yeah, in winter. It says February. So I have sat on them for a little bit. They, for whatever reason, it took a little while to sell, but they did end up selling for $40, which I think is a great price for pre-owned shoes. But I wanted to just bring that brand to your attention, Betula. All right, I just picked up a bunch of these at the thrift store within the last couple of months. The brand is Disturbia. This brand makes my brain hurt. So anytime I come across a bunch of the same brand or the same item at a thrift store, it always makes me want to look it up. I don't know why, probably because there's an opportunity to get it in abundance. So my thrift store had a bunch of these women's Disturbia. Most of them were new with tags dresses, and I looked up the sell-through rate and it did not look good. For some reason, whenever I looked this up, the comps were a little wacky. I can't remember what keyword it was pulling, but it was skewing results. I had to do the quotation thing and realize that it did have a pretty decent sell-through rate. I took a chance because Halloween was coming up and I knew that this was an aesthetic people were going to look for. They make a lot of gothy stuff. So I took a chance, I risked it, and I picked almost all of them up. And I'm glad I did because they immediately started selling and it made me wonder why I second guessed myself so much. But definitely a brand to look for. Disturbia, especially right now during this time of the year, can be a great brand. This was a snake print dress, which is pretty cool, honestly. We listed this for $40. It was new with tags and it did sell for our full asking price. I picked up a couple of pre-owned ones and those also are selling well. Next up, this is the brand Rip Skirt Hawaii. I got this while I was on vacation about a month ago, and yeah, I found it new with tags, which was really cool. I only paid about $5 for it, and I listed it for $40. It sold on an offer to watcher for $34, and it only took 3 weeks to sell, which is pretty cool. So Rip Skirt Hawaii generally has a really great sell-through rate. They're like a convertible hook and loop skirt. I don't know how long Rip Skirt will be trendy just because, we are coming out of like Hawaiian inspired stuff season. But generally speaking, really great brand to be on the lookout for. All right, next up, this is another novelty print item. You can see this is all over fox print. This is a novelty print. This is by the brand Hutch, which is sold at Anthropologie, plus it was a size 3X. I actually looked up Hutch 3X dresses, not 100% sell-through rate, but the fact that this was a novelty print carried it through for me, and I priced it higher. Priced it at $40. It sold for my full asking price, and it actually sold within about a week of getting it listed, which is pretty cool. So again, novelty print stuff, especially in sweaters coming up. If you see novelty print sweaters, definitely give them a look up. This is a new-ish brand to me that has been performing really well. It is Alex Crane. Definitely want to keep your eye out for this. They make some pretty minimalist, kind of like quiet luxury pieces. This is a men's t-shirt. It's actually also a size extra small, and I listed it for $40. It's still sold for full asking price, so definitely this brand is worth looking into and getting to know. You can tell it's just a pretty plain tag. It's not even tacked on or anything like that. So we listed this for $40, sold for full asking price. And this took a couple of months to sell. Next up, this is a brand I had not shown in a while. It is an athletic brand. I don't find it very often, but when I do, I usually get it. It sells pretty well for us. It's called 10,000. This was called the Sessions short, and as you can see, it doesn't actually say 10,000, but this is their little logo right here. So there are some, especially in athletic wear brands, you just kind of have to get to know by their logo. So this is one of those pieces. A pair of athletic running shorts. I listed this for $40. It sold on an offer to watcher for $34, and it took a little over a month to sell. Next up, this was a style-based pickup. This is Allison Taylor, not a brand I would memorize, but this is a 100% silk on-trend item. Hyper feminine details, kind of like a romantic goth style. We use the keywords witchy and fairy grunge. Also a size large, if I didn't say that. So all of those factors combined, I listed this for $35. It sold for my full asking price. And this one actually only took a few weeks to sell, which is great for a style-based pickup. I feel like a lot of my style-based pickups I make up a price for, and I'm comfortable with around $30 to $35 because that's generally where I sell stuff. So I've just learned over time, like, okay, other stuff that I've sold for $30 to $35 contains these same factors. I can probably get about $30 to $35 for this item, even though it's a style-based pickup. And just also wanted to know 11 people were watching this within just a couple of weeks. So again, very hot item, very hot aesthetic. Here's another style-based pickup. I went back and forth on this one as well, but I ended up getting it. It is Forever 21. I know, you guys. but it had all the trending aesthetics going on. It was also, it did not have a material tag or a size tag, so I was really risking it, but it was very like Y2K, whimsy goth, inspired. It had the baby doll kind of empire waist aesthetic, the dark florals, very trendy, especially black and red. I listed this for $35, and surprisingly, it took 2 weeks to sell. That's so fast, and it sold for my full asking price of $35. I could not believe this. So don't look for Forever 21, but look for this kind of aesthetic. All right, next up, this is an item I got from that storage unit buyout. Thanks, Brittany. She taught me about this hat brand. I did not know it before. It's called Tilley, Tilley. It was called the Airflow hat. Pretty normal looking hat, but great sell-through rate. It had a couple of small spots throughout. We listed it for $35, and it did sell for our full asking price, and it actually only took a few days to sell. So really excited to learn some new brands from, not just the storage unit buyout, but wholesale in general. I'm able to learn so much more and share it with you guys just because we're getting stuff from all over. All right, next up, this is more of a bread and butter piece, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Theory, and what's the other brand? Vince. Theory and Vince. Not typically brands I get and everything, but during fall and winter, their men's stuff performs well. So I thought it was worth mentioning on this channel. Again, more bread and butter prices, but Theory and Vince men's stuff in fall and winter does traditionally very well for me. This is a men's Henley shirt. It ended up selling for around $31. It did take several months to sell, but I listed it towards the end of the last wintry season, so I think that's why it took so long. All right, this is a Y2K /90s vintage brand you might want to look for. This one, I believe, was from the 90s. It is No Fear. It does not have a 100% sell-through rate, but depending on the piece you have, you can ask for quite a bit. This one was kind of a unique cutoff that said SoCal. I listed this for $30. It sold for full asking price. Let's see here. This one took a couple of months to sell. Next up, this is one of my favorite things to find. Plus size Ralph Lauren tops. Period. Like, I get so excited because I know they flip super quickly. We got this one at the bins too, so paid probably $1 to $2. Size 3X, beautiful paisley button-up top, more substantial, so we priced higher at $30. It sold on an offer to watcher for $25. This one only took about a week to sell. All right, next up, these are bras. I've been experimenting lately with brands that have a decent sell-through rate but don't go for much, and doing a lot. And I've only done this a couple of times, but it is working out pretty well for me. This is the brand Third Love, not the highest sell-through rate on bras, so I wouldn't recommend, going out there and trying to pick up all the Third Love stuff you see. But I had the exact same style, just in different color and the exact same size. So I went ahead and listed these together, and they surprisingly sold super fast for my full asking price of $25. They literally sold the next day. So awesome. I am going to continue testing this stuff out in the future. It's a lot to keep up with, to put lots together and stuff. I think it requires more brain power than it's worth sometimes, which is why I'm only doing it a couple times to kind of just test it out. But there is a whole market of like lots and bundles on eBay that if you can figure it out, you could be super successful. Next up, another bread and butter. This is Susan Graver. We still like picking up their plus size pieces when it's more substantial. This is their liquid knit top, which is this stretchy, kind of thick, almost scuba feeling material. Plus it was a leaf print. Listed this for $25. It sold on an offer to watcher for $21. That's about right for Susan Graver plus size tops. It is definitely more bread and butter, but it is a very stable bread and butter for us. Same thing with Bila. You're not going to see 100% sell-through rate on this, but it is one that performs well for me. Bila plus size tops. They make smaller sizes, but the plus sizes are the only ones that I typically get. This is a size 1X, multicolor, kind of boho top. Listed for $25, it sold for full asking price, and it only took a few weeks to sell. All right, moving on to some of the Poshmark sales, because we did have some decent Poshmark sales that were full price, even though we are liquidating a lot of stuff on here. This is Abercrombie & Fitch shorts. These performed super well for me this year. They had a very high sell-through rate. I don't know how long that's, again, going to last because we're moving into fall and winter. But as of right now, Abercrombie & Fitch shorts are doing very well. And the brand as a whole, modern, vintage, like it's all doing pretty good. These ones were the Curve Love line. They sold for $22, which was an offer. Next up, something else you want to keep your eye out for is stuff in the kids section. I don't go through all of the kids section. I literally just kind of glance down the aisle and look for puffer jackets. And any brand that does well in adults also, generally speaking, does well in kids. So that's what I look for. There aren't very many niche brands in kids as far as jackets go that you need to memorize. So as long as you know what the adult ones are, like Patagonia, like this one, North Face, stuff like that, you'll be fine. But it can be a great addition to your sourcing. So Patagonia, this is a baby down hoodie jacket, and it sold on an offer for $34. I've sold these depending on condition. This one was not in the best condition. Depending on condition and style, I've sold these for close to $100 pre-owned. So again, it really depends on what it is, but great item to pick up. Next up, this is a designer brand, St. John. This is their Santana knits, and it is an older piece. These older basics in the Santana knits are performing really well for me when they're neutral colored. I listed this Santana knit maxi skirt, size 14, so higher. We've sold a couple of these lately for $75. So again, you got to know what you're looking for, because this is a pretty plain looking item. If you are just browsing the skirt section, you see a ton of black skirts, plain black skirts. So you got to know what you're looking for. Next up, this is a newer brand to me. It is called Beck and Bridge. I can't tell you much about this brand. We got this in wholesale, so my wholesaler knew way more about this than we did, but it does seem to be a pretty decent brand that you might want to look for. Very trendy aesthetic, the chocolate brown, full button, maxi dress. I think we originally listed this at $75, and Posherva sent out an offer automatically, and it was accepted for $62. Next up, Eileen Fisher. Eileen Fisher is another solid one in plus sizes you can definitely rely on. This is an Eileen Fisher 1X linen blend cardigan. It sold for $36. Another bread and butter plus size item. This is J. Jill. I like picking up their plus sizes. This one was a pretty plain t-shirt, which I wouldn't normally get, but it was new with tags. So that's the main reason we grabbed it. I listed this for around $35. Posherva sent out an offer, and it sold for $28. Here's another Free People item that sold pretty well. This one we were lucky enough to have new with tags. It is kind of a maxi dress / top situation. So like it's maxi length, but it's technically a top. This ended up selling on an offer for $76. I know it's new with tags, but pre-owned it still would have probably gone for $40 to $50. So again, there are some more substantial pieces in Free People that you can definitely look for, and this one was a size medium. All right, this was a bread and butter style-based pickup. I sold a lot of these this year. It is Gap. Don't memorize that brand. But paired with linen and being a button-up and being a men's, it did really well. We used the keyword coastal. And I was selling these anywhere from $20 to $25 this past summer. And I could find them like constantly at the bins, at thrift stores, and nobody was picking them up. So it really pays to know like things in advance of what to look for bread and butter wise that everybody's passing on. That's where research comes in. If you don't want to do your own research, you can watch videos like this on YouTube, or again, consider joining Resellers Edge. We're currently, for the past month, we've been prepping everyone for Q4. So we want everybody to know what to look for fall before fall even starts. So we've been heavily focusing on that and doing sourcing deep dives. Here's another Disturbia dress. This one was also new with tags. It was a kind of like a bodysuit gown, velvety, had like sheer panels, pretty cool piece. This one we listed for $40. It did sell for our full asking price. Here's another Free People item. This one is also a size large, again with the size large. This one is a not as substantial of a piece. It's a dress, so it's substantial, but it is a mini dress, which usually I avoid. But since it was a size large, we went ahead and got it. And you can see some of the keywords we use, like coquette. Lululemon, similarly to Free People, I know a lot of people are passing on it now, but if you know specific styles that do well, you can definitely still make a lot of money. The Free People running shorts, for sure, the athletic shorts are still performing very well, $30 to $40. This one actually had the lining cut out of it, and we still sold it for $30. This is a newer brand to me that we got in wholesale. It is Walker Slater, so maybe one you want to keep your eye out for. It was a merino wool women's cable knit short sleeve sweater, and it sold for $51. And just wanted to bring your attention to some of the keywords that we use for this. Preppy, Ivy League, dark academia, very trendy keywords right now. Here's another cycling item. This is like a full bike suit. This is the brand SL3S, German designed. This sold for $60. Again, with the goth aesthetic, this is any kind of Y2K niche goth brand like that you saw in the 2000s is like super bolo right now. This is Royal Bones. This would definitely be one I would look for, by Dang Goodman. This is a corset top. Corsets are also very in, had some really cool details to this. I listed this originally, I think around $70, and someone accepted an offer of $51. This is Veronica Beard. I would consider this like a quiet luxury piece. Veronica Beard is definitely one to keep your eye out for. This is a newer label. It's just a pretty plain tank top. It was called the Jordan tank top. But again, you gotta know that companies put pieces like this out. Otherwise, if you're browsing through the tank top sleeveless section, you definitely would skip on this item. It looks like any other tank top. So keep your eye out for stuff like this. This ended up selling on an offer for $51. I think we originally listed it around $65. And this is Abercrombie. This is definitely a bread and butter piece. It is a men's or unisex size extra large graphic shirt. I sell a lot of Abercrombie graphic shirts. I come across a lot of them. I would say I only pick up like maybe 10% of them, but if the right factors are there, I'll get it. And they generally sell for $20-$25. I got this one because it was Yellowstone themed, and that show is about to come back out. I'm very excited. But I knew it was going to be trending, and I'm glad I did. It sold very quickly at $20. This we found at the bins. Again, kind of an unassuming, pretty plain looking piece. It is Rag & Bone. They're a pair of men's sweatpants. Similarly, like I was saying to the Theory and Vince pieces, not typically a brand I get in everything, but in men's can do well. The same thing is true with Rag & Bone. So these higher retailing brands, specifically in the men's department, do really well. So this is Rag & Bone. This is their little logo, RB. So again, you gotta know what to look for. We listed these around $50 or $60, and I accepted an offer of $42. And lastly, this is a newer brand to me. I got this in wholesale as well. It is Online Ceramics. They make some pretty cool graphic t-shirts. So you got to know, again, about companies like this, that you do not pass on them. This was all about global warming. It was kind of a cool t-shirt, graphic on the back as well. We originally listed this pretty high. I want to say over $100. It has sat, so I've since dropped the price. And because I didn't want to sit on it any longer, I accepted an offer of $70. Keep your eye out for Online Ceramics graphic t-shirts. There are some specific prints that can perform like close to $200 to $300.
All right, guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already, consider subscribing down below. I do these videos every single week. If you hit the notification bell and hit all, you'll be notified every single time I post one of these. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.